A local organization is tackling mental illness and homelessness with a community event aimed at increasing awareness, also solutions to barriers in psychiatric care. The program is called Mental Illness and Homelessness from Crisis to Solutions. Here to tell us more about it, we've got HealingMindsNOLA Director Janet Hayes, also organizer of the event, Tiffany Barrett. Good morning to you all.
Good morning, thank you.
Good morning, thanks so much for having us.
We're honored to have you. Not only is this an important matter, but in talking about the relationship between particularly mental health and homelessness, it's a multi-pronged approach here. Many a reason ties the two together.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of things, or a lot of the reason that we're seeing these crises we're seeing with homelessness, incarceration, people who are in and out of the hospital without, getting real stabilization, which families complain about, is policy. And so until we get to the roots of the problems, legal barriers and policy barriers within psychiatric systems, we're not likely to see these problems end. And Tiffany is here to talk about her experience of, as a family who tried desperately to get help for their loved one,
my brother,
and the system failed, and what happened once the system failed.
Tell us about that, Tiffany. I mean to cut you off, but we don't have much time.
No, not a problem. So my family did everything we could to help my brother Sean when he was heading for crisis. And unfortunately, there's no safeguards in play to help anyone who's struggling. We were met by confusing requirements, different barriers preventing us to get any information about him being ill and him not realizing he was ill until the crisis unfolded. And this year I met Janet with HealingMindsNOLA, and I realized that we weren't alone, being handcuffed to the policies that prevent us from helping people who are struggling with severe mental illness. And that's what this event is about.
Talk about what happened.
Yeah, fortunately 4 lives were taken in a tragic event that took place, and I'm sorry, it's a lot for me to talk about.
It's okay. And so with that, ma'am, I know that it is personal. Let's just keep it moving here, because again, we just have 2 minutes to go. This is a conversation to talk about ways to change this. Again, from crisis to solutions. You've got multiple experts who will be here to share their take on what to do. Fill us in there.
So we work with experts, like subject matter experts at the federal level, state level, local levels, who deal with policy.
So how do we remove barriers so that doctors can spend more time with their patients to get them truly stable? How do we remove communication barriers, HIPAA barriers within the system that prevent the system from talking to family members? How do we remove, to solve the problem of the short-term acute hospitalizations with no real long-term psychiatric treatment and care that a lot of families know their loved ones need in order that they can live in the community. They can live healthily, and when they are in treatment, they do really well. When they're not, sometimes they end up in these tragic situations.
It is a very real reality here that mental illness, in some cases, if not properly approached or treated, does lead to situations where you might lose your job or you might lose your place to live. And so it's a very real situation that we see in our community.
Well, and unfortunately, because some folks have been left for so long, they're now chronically psychiatrically disabled, and a lot of them, unfortunately, it's permanent. It's not permanent if we get to people early enough and we have the right thing at the right time at the right place for people, and there's throughput in the system that lands them in a destination where they need to be. But when there are those barriers in the system that clog the system, we see human log jams, they backflow to the homelessness, they backflow to police. And what a lot of people don't understand is this is not just a funding issue. We could throw all the money at the problem that we want. With these legal barriers in the system that have happened over decades, we're not going to see a change. And we are starting with a film presentation on Saturday to educate the public and the audience on what those legal barriers are, and then we'll have our panels, speakers.
I did have one more question, but we've got a hard wrap now, so I do apologize for that. I do thank y'all for coming on. Again, the event is happening Saturday from 12:30 to 6:45 over at the Renaissance Arts Hotel on Chapatoulas. Got a link to register on our website.